Good morning, my friends. I'm here at the Maryland Renaissance Festival, Sunday of the 3-day Labor Day weekend. Yesterday was perfect. Yesterday was amazing. Yesterday was brilliant. Today is going to be hot, and tomorrow is going to be hotter. So it is quite the weekend. But I am in good spirits. Very happy to be back. Very grateful to be here for the entire run this year. As you can tell, enjoying some lovely greenery on a cool Sunday morning before it gets ridiculous. As a hint, you can tell by the outfit that I'm wearing that the forecast today is in the low 90s. Heat index mid to high 90s, but the forecast for hiding in the shade is in the low 90s. If I'm wearing the red suit in an image or in a video, you can tell that the forecast that morning said it was going to be under 90 degrees. If I'm wearing the black suit, you can tell that the forecast was under 70 degrees. If I'm wearing the green suit, the forecast is generally 90-ish, 90 plus. And if you see me without a doublet or jerkin, where I'm just in a plain white shirt with the pants on, that means it's supposed to get over 100. So welcome to the code of the clothing. So the tune I'm going to play this morning was written in the mid-1300s, but this is an arrangement from the early 1400s. It was written vocally in 3 parts by the Italian Francesco Landini, a great Ars Nova composer of the 14th century. But there exists a music manuscript from the early 1400s, circa 1410, from the city of Faenza, Italy, called the Faenza Codex. And what this is a collection of arrangements for instruments. It's instrumental arrangements of music that was often vocally, sometimes instrumentally, but a lot of vocal music from the prior century, updated stylistically for 15th century harmonies, which are a big evolution towards the way we think about harmony now. So, for example, one of the biggest differences is in the Middle Ages, a lot of the melodies were what we would call the tenor part. The cantus part was not the highest part. The soprano was usually a high harmony, which is one reason the dulcimer is laid out the way it is with the high notes on the left. Your right hand was expected to be playing the melody. Your left hand was expected to be playing a high harmony. In what we call the Renaissance in the early 1400s, that flipped, and suddenly the soprano part becomes the melody, and the counterpart is usually in the lower register, whether it's a tenor part, baritone, or bass part. The counterpoint becomes the low part, and the melody becomes the high part. So one thing about the Faenza Codex that I really love is the fact that it is the heyday of the hammered dulcimer as an instrument for art music for the hoity-toity aristocrats. Really peaked in the early 1400s, but then with the advent and the popularity of the harpsichords, virginals, spinets, and later the piano, the dulcimer became less and less aristocratic and more of a folk instrument. So the 15th century is really when the dulcimer was at its height as far as fancy pants people. Also, I play a lot of amazing music from the 16th century, but honestly, it's kind of a cheat. While the hammered dulcimer was an instrument in the 16th century, it was more of a folk instrument, and the music that I'm playing is art music, is hoity-toity music. And also, a lot of the music that I'm playing would not have fit on a 16th century dulcimer. 16th century dulcimer had 2.5 octaves. The music I'm playing has 3 to 3.5 because that's what my modern dulcimer can handle. However, this size of a dulcimer is more of a 17th century instrument. So if you hear me playing some early Baroque music, that, once again, is appropriate. But a lot of my favorite repertoire from the 16th century is a little bit of a fudge. However, the music from the Faenza Codex, this 15th century instrumental music, does fit, most of it, within 2 octaves that would have been available on a 15th century dulcimer. So it is not only appropriate for the social status of the instrument at the time, but also for the musical range of the instrument. And because of that, I just think it's a really cool thing. However, for a long time, I didn't like the music. Turns out I wasn't listening to enough of it. 15th century music does some quirky things. Medieval music in general does some really quirky things that sound unusual, foreign, and off-putting to a modern ear. But it turns out in this book there are a number of pieces that aren't such strange sounding pieces, that do sound a little more, dare I say, modern, a little more contemporary in the way they use harmonies, etc. So what I did was I did a deep dive into the Faenza Codex, found a bunch of music from it that I do enjoy, much of which is going to end up in the book that I put out hopefully next summer. But until then, it's starting to work its way into my live performances and eventually onto my recordings. So this is a piece written in the 14th century vocally by Francesco Landini. It's called Questa non era mia donna. This you were not my lady. Alternately, donna could be gift because it's a Renaissance spelling, which means that the conventions, it's sounded out in the word gift. Donna, which is the root of donation, is very similar to donna, which is woman. Morning, Gary. I'm talking to my patrons. So this is a 15th century arrangement of a 14th century song by Francesco Landini from the Faenza Codex, circa 1410. Thank you very much, my friends. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for joining me on my travels. I hope you have a beautiful day. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and I will see you at home.